Good afternoon, I'm Sarit Zehavi from the Alma Center here in northern Israel in the Galilee, about 7 miles from the Israeli-Lebanese border. I want to focus today about a few insights we have following the assassination against Sulimani. First and foremost, it is important to clarify that Qasem Sulimani was an archi-terrorist. He was the commander that was responsible to the Iranian military influence and presence in the Middle East, and the proxies that he commanded of are responsible not only to the death of many Americans, but also to the death of Syrians, Iraqis, and Yemenis in this Shiite-Sunni conflict that is going on in the Middle East. Second, the message that was delivered by the American administration with this assassination is a very important message, not only to the image of the United States as an important superpower in the region, but also to United States allies in the region, such as the Kurds and the Israelis themselves. The idea is that now the Iranians understand that the fact the United States refrained from any retaliation to the past attacks that the Iranians carried out against Americans' assets and against Americans' presence in the Middle East didn't left with no response. And this response is a clear message to the Iranians that the United States is not only not leaving the Middle East, but the United States is going to make sure that her interests in the Middle East are not being violated. Many questions and guessings dealt with the Iranian response to this assassination. There were a lot of evaluations that this response may take us all into war. When I'm saying all, I mean Israelis and Americans. And both of us are all worried from this option, of course. So here I want to say a few words. First, the Iranians are now, as we speak, taking advantage of this assassination in order to expose what it is already doing with the nuclear project in Iran. Second, the Iranians are taking advantage of the assassination to try to push the Americans out of Iraq, which of course what should happen is exactly the opposite. Third, we can assess, as the Iranians themselves promised, as the leader of Hezbollah in Lebanon promised, that the Iranians will try to carry out a terrorist attack against, or maybe more than one, against American military assets, mainly in the Middle East. And third, for now, we can very carefully evaluate that the Iranians are not interested in retaliation on the Israeli northern borders, whether with Lebanon or with Syria. We are not there yet. Looking forward to the future, whether escalation is at the horizon line, I think it depends not only in the Iranians but also in the Americans themselves. And the question is whether the American intelligence and forces will be able to stop any Iranian attack against the American presence in the region. And if they will fail to stop it, what the retaliation should be and how much deterrent the Americans will be able to create with their own response to anything that the Iranians may do. For us Israelis, from almost personal point of view, I must say that any escalation between Iran and the United States make us want to be much more prepared to the next conflict with Hezbollah, because we understand that there is a direct connection between the relationship between Iran and the United States and what is going on here on the northern border of Israel. And yet, there is a consensus in Israel that terror should be fought against in a very decisive way, and we could not ignore what the Iranians were doing here in the Middle East. So in this respect, we believe that the assassination against Qasem Sulimani was very important, though all the risks that I've just talked about. This assassination was very important to deliver a message to Iran that it cannot do just whatever it wants over here in this region. I'm Sarit Zehavi from the Alma Center. Thank you very much for being with us.